The greatest show on earth, the evidence for evolution. Richard Dawkins, the greatest show on earth. You are my natural selection. There are the example of selective breeding by non-human eyes. Oh yes, think of the dull, camouflaged plumage of the hen pheasant compared with the splendiferous male of the same species. There seems little doubt that if his individual survival were the only one that matters, the cock, golden pheasant would prefer to look like the female, or like a grown-up version of how he was as a chick. The female and the chicks are obviously well camouflaged, and that's the way the male would be too if his individual survival were his priority. The same is true other pheasants, such as red amist and the familiar ring-necked pheasant. The cocks look flamboyant and dangerously attractive to predators, but which species in a very different way. The hens are camouflaged and dull-colored, which species in pretty much the same way. What is going on here? One way to put it is Darwin's words, sexual selection. But another way, and the one that better suits my primrose path, selective breeding by female of males. Bright color may indeed attract predators, but they attract female pheasants too. Generation of hens choose to mate with bright, glowing male rather than the dull brown creatures that the male would surely have remained, but for selective breeding by female. The same thing happened with peahens, selectively breeding peacock, female bird of paradise breeding male, and numerous other examples of bird, mammals, fish, amphibian, reptile, and insect, where female is usually female rather than male for reason we didn't go into. Choose from among competing males. As garden flowers, human pheasant breeders have improved upon the selective handiwork of the hen pheasant that preceded them, producing spectacular variants of the golden pheasant, for example, although more by picking one or two major mutations rather than by gradually shaping the bird through generational breeding. Humans have also selectively bred some amazing variety of pigeon, and I knew that firsthand, and chicken descended from a far eastern bird, the red jungle fowl, Gallus gallus. This chapter is mostly about selection by eyes, but other things can do the same thing. Fanciers have bred canaries for their songs as well as for their appearance. The wild canary is a yellowish brown finch, not spectacular to look at. Human selective breeders have taken the palette of color of surinap by random generating variation and manufactured a color distinctive enough to be named after the bird. Canary yellow. By the way, the bird itself is named after the island, not the other way around as with the Galapagos Islands, whose name comes from a Spanish word for tortoise. Variety of chicken. Variety of chicken. 3 illustrations from Darwin's the variation of animal and plant under domestication. But canaries are best known for their song, and these too have been turned up and enriched by human breeders. Various songsters have been manufactured, including rollers, which have been bred to sing with the beak closed, water sluggers, with sound like bubbling water, and timbrodos, which produce metallic bell-like notes, together with a constant-like chatter that befits their Spanish origin. Domestically bred songs are longer, louder, and more frequent than the wild ancestral type, but all these highly phrased songs are made up of elements that occur in wild canaries, just as the habit and tricks of various breeds of dogs come from elements to be found in the behavioral repertoire of wolves. Once again, human breeders have only been building on the earlier selective breeding effort of female birds. Over generations, while the female canary inadvertently breed male for their singing prowess by choosing to mate with males whose songs were especially appealing. In the particular case of canaries, it happened that we know a little more. Canaries and Barbary doves have been favorite subjects for research on hormones and reproductive behavior. It's known that in both species, the sound of male vocalization, even from a tape recording, caused the female ovary to swell and secrete hormones that breeding them into reproductive condition and make them more ready to mate. One could say that male canaries are manipulating female by singing to them. It's almost as though they were giving them hormone injection. One could also say the female has selectively breeding male to become better and better to singing. The two ways of looking at the matter are two sides of the same coin. As with the other bird species, by the way, there is a complication. Song is not only appealing to female, it's also the deterrent rival males, but I leave that on one side. Now, to move the argument on, looking at the picture of a giant. The first is a woodcut of a Japanese kabuki mask representing a samurai warrior. Kabuki mask of samurai warrior. The second is a crab of the species Hakea japonica, which is found in Japanese waters. Hakea japonica crab. The generic name Heike comes from a Japanese clan called the Heike, who were defeated in the Battle of Danoura 1185 by a rival clan called the Genji. Legend tells that the ghosts of drowned Heike warriors now inhabit the bottom of the sea in the body of the crab Heike japonica. The myth is encouraged by the pattern of the back of this crab, which resembles by fiercely grimacing face of a samurai warrior. The famous zoologist Sir Julian Huxley was impressed enough by the resemblance to write the resemblance of Doripe to an angry Japanese warrior as part too specific and part too detailed to be accidental. It came about because those crabs with a more perfect resemblance to a warrior's face were less frequently eaten than the others. Doripe was what the crab was called in 1952 when Huxley wrote. It reverted to Hakea in 1990 when somebody rediscovered that it had been so named as early as 1824. Such are the strict priority rules of zoological nomenclature. This theory, the generations of superstitious fishermen threw back into the sea crabs that resembled human face, received new legs in 1980 when Carl Sagan discussed it in his wonderful Cosmos in his words. Suppose that by chance among the distant ancestors of this crab, one arose that resembled even slightly a human face. Even before the battle of Tannoura, fishermen may have been reluctant to eat such a crab. In throwing it back, they set in motion an evolutionary process. As the generation passed of crab and fishermen alike, the crab with patterns that most resembled a samurai face survived preferentially until eventually there was produced not just a human face, not just a Japanese face, but the visage of a fierce and scowling samurai.